There's a lie we often tell ourselves, I'll do it when I feel ready. But readiness is a myth. If you wait for the perfect time, the perfect mood, or the perfect conditions, you'll never move forward. Successful people aren't always motivated. They're not superhuman. The difference is they act despite how they feel. They don't let procrastination win. They don't negotiate with themselves about whether they feel like doing the work. They simply do it. Motivation is a powerful feeling, but it is also unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. Sometimes it's there pushing you forward, and other times it's nowhere to be found. And when it's gone, what happens to your progress? Do you stop? Do you wait until the spark returns? That's where most people get stuck. They rely on motivation to drive them, but the truth is motivation is fleeting, and it cannot be trusted to sustain long-term success. The people who achieve their goals, the ones who stand out in their fields, don't rely on motivation, they rely on discipline. They understand that success is not about how you feel in the moment, but about what you commit to doing consistently. It's about showing up when you don't feel like it, about doing the work even when it's uncomfortable, inconvenient, or exhausting. Think about any major accomplishment, whether it's building a business, writing a book, getting in great physical shape, or mastering a skill. None of these things happen overnight, and none of them happen because someone felt like working every single day. They happen because someone made a decision, I will do this no matter what. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. A dream is easy, everyone has one, but discipline? That's rare. Discipline is doing the work even when it's hard. It's going to the gym when you'd rather sleep in. It's staying late to finish the project when you'd rather watch TV. It's pushing forward when no one is watching, when no one is applauding, when the only thing keeping you going is your own commitment. And here's the irony. When you rely on discipline, motivation often follows. Think about a time when you didn't want to do something, but you did it anyway. Maybe you didn't want to work out, but once you got started, you felt good and kept going. Maybe you didn't feel like writing, but after forcing yourself to put words on the page, the ideas started flowing. That's because action creates momentum, and momentum fuels motivation. But you have to start. The problem is, most people wait. They wait to feel ready, wait for inspiration, wait for some magical moment when everything clicks. But that moment rarely comes. Successful people don't wait. They act. They know that every time they show up and do the work, they are strengthening their discipline. And discipline, once developed, becomes unstoppable. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never slipping up or never feeling tired. It's about refusing to let those moments define you. Everyone struggles. Everyone has days when they want to quit. The difference is that disciplined people push through. They don't let feelings dictate their actions. They let their commitment drive them forward. So the next time you find yourself making an excuse, telling yourself you don't feel like it, that you're not motivated, remind yourself that success isn't about how you feel, it's about what you do. Motivation is a visitor, discipline is a habit. And the people who win in life are the ones who choose discipline every single day. Resistance is a force that shows up every time you try to do something meaningful. It's that voice in your head telling you to stay in bed instead of getting up early to work out. It's the hesitation you feel before starting a new project, making a difficult phone call, or stepping out of your comfort zone. Resistance is the invisible barrier between where you are and where you want to be. And the only way to move forward is to embrace it. Most people see resistance as a sign to stop. They think, if this is hard, maybe it's not meant for me. But that's not true. The presence of resistance isn't a signal to quit. It's proof that you're on the right track. If there were no resistance, it would mean you're not challenging yourself. Growth happens outside of comfort, and resistance is simply the cost of that growth. Think about any great achievement. Athletes don't become champions by training only when they feel like it. Writers don't finish books by waiting for inspiration. Entrepreneurs don't build successful businesses by avoiding hard decisions. Every great accomplishment has one thing in common. The person behind it pushed through resistance. They felt the weight of doubt, fear, and discomfort, but they kept going anyway. Resistance isn't something to avoid. It's something to lean into. When you feel resistance, it means you're doing something that matters. It means you're stretching yourself, stepping into new territory and expanding your limits. The trick is to recognize it for what it is. Not a roadblock, but a test. A test of your commitment, your resilience, and your ability to act despite discomfort. Think about the last time you hesitated to do something important. Maybe it was starting a difficult conversation, tackling a big task, or committing to a goal that scared you. What happened once you finally started? More often than not, the hardest part was simply beginning. Because once you push past that initial resistance, momentum kicks in. Suddenly, what felt impossible a moment ago becomes manageable. Action dissolves fear. Resistance is always strongest at the beginning. It's like a heavy door that feels impossible to push open at first, but the moment you apply consistent pressure, it starts to move. And once it moves, it gets easier. The mistake most people make is that they feel the initial weight of resistance and assume it will always be that hard. So they stop before they even begin. But if you push through, even just for a few moments, you'll notice something incredible. Resistance fades. The workout gets easier after the first few minutes. The words start flowing once you begin writing. The nervousness before speaking disappears after the first sentence. The challenge never fully goes away, but it becomes manageable. You build strength, you build resilience. And each time you push through resistance, you train yourself to do it again. The key is to stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for fear to disappear, for doubt to subside, for the path to be clear. That moment will never come. If something is difficult, that doesn't mean you should stop. It means you're growing. It means you're stepping into a better version of yourself. The people who achieve great things in life aren't the ones who never feel resistance. They're the ones who feel it and move forward anyway. Because on the other side of resistance is everything you're capable of. And the only way to get there is to embrace it. Feelings are powerful, but they are not always reliable. One moment you might feel excited, energized, and ready to take on the world. The next you might feel tired, unmotivated, or overwhelmed. If you let your feelings dictate your actions, you will always be at their mercy, starting when you feel inspired, stopping when you feel discouraged, and never building the consistency needed for real success. The problem is that most people believe they need to feel like doing something before they do it. They wait for motivation to strike before they start working out, wait for the perfect mood before writing, or wait to feel confident before taking a risk. But that moment rarely comes. If you rely on feelings to determine your actions, you will stay stuck. Successful people don't operate this way. They understand that emotions are temporary, but actions create results. They don't ask themselves, do I feel like doing this today? They simply do what needs to be done, regardless of how they feel. Because they know that if they only acted when they felt good, they would never get anywhere. Imagine if a professional athlete only trained on days when they felt motivated. They would never reach the top of their game. Imagine if a business owner only worked when they felt inspired. Their company would fail. The people who achieve great things in life do not allow their emotions to dictate their efforts. They act in spite of them. The truth is, your feelings will always try to pull you toward comfort. Your brain is wired for survival, not success. It will always encourage you to take the easy path, to avoid discomfort, to stay where it's safe. But growth never happens in comfort. Progress never happens when you give in to the impulse to delay, avoid, or quit. The key is to make decisions based on your commitments, not your emotions. If you commit to exercising, then you exercise, even when you don't feel like it. If you commit to building a business, then you work on it regardless of your mood. You don't negotiate with yourself. You don't ask, do I feel like it today? You simply do it, because that's who you are. At first, this is hard. It requires discipline. But the more you act, despite your feelings, the more power you gain over them. You begin to realize that your emotions don't control you, you control them. And something incredible happens. The more you take action, the more your feelings follow. Think about a time when you didn't want to do something, but you pushed yourself to do it anyway. Maybe you didn't want to work out, but once you started, you felt better. Maybe you didn't feel like writing, but after a few minutes, the words started flowing. That's because action changes how you feel. It builds momentum. And once momentum takes over, everything gets easier. If you let your feelings be in charge, you will live a life of inconsistency, starting and stopping, making excuses, never fully committing. But when you decide that your actions will be driven by your commitments, not your emotions, you become unstoppable. So the next time you don't feel like doing the hard thing, remind yourself, your feelings are not in charge. Your future, your success, and your growth are too important to be controlled by temporary emotions. Decide who you want to be and act accordingly. The rest will follow. Success is not built in a day. It's not the result of one giant leap or a single breakthrough moment. It's the accumulation of small, consistent actions, micro wins that add up over time. Every major accomplishment, every life-changing transformation, every seemingly overnight success is the result of countless small victories that most people never see. The problem is, people often underestimate the power of small actions. They believe success comes from dramatic, life-altering changes. They think they need to wake up one day and suddenly transform their habits, mindset, and work ethic all at once. But that approach rarely works. It's overwhelming, unsustainable, and often leads to burnout. Real success happens differently. It happens when you commit to small daily improvements, when you focus on micro wins, tiny victories that push you forward, even just a little. You create momentum, and momentum is what carries you from where you are to where you want to be. Think about a professional athlete. They don't wake up one morning and suddenly become the best. Their success is built over years of training, each practice, each rep, each tiny improvement stacking on top of the last. A writer doesn't publish a best-selling book overnight. They write a few pages every day, refining their craft bit by bit. A business doesn't become a success instantly. It grows one customer at a time, one small decision at a time, one lesson at a time. The same principle applies to anything you want to achieve. If you want to get in shape, you don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle overnight. You just need to start moving. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Drink more water. Exercise for 5 minutes. Small steps compound. If you want to build a business, you don't need to have everything figured out today. Just make one call, write one email, take one action. Those actions build momentum. The key is to recognize that every small win matters. Most people don't see progress because they give up too soon. They expect immediate results, and when they don't see drastic change right away, they get discouraged. But success isn't about instant gratification, it's about consistency. The people who achieve big things in life aren't the ones who make massive, unsustainable changes. They're the ones who commit to small, daily progress and refuse to quit. It's like pushing a heavy boulder. At first, it barely moves. The effort feels enormous, and the result seems small. But with each push, the boulder starts to roll a little easier. Then suddenly, momentum kicks in. What once felt impossible now feels effortless. That's the power of micro wins. Small wins also build confidence. Every time you accomplish something, even something tiny, you prove to yourself that you are capable. That confidence fuels you to keep going, to push harder, to believe in yourself more. And as your belief grows, so do your results. So don't overlook the small wins. Celebrate them. Each time you show up, each time you push forward, each time you take a step in the right direction, you are succeeding. The big goals will come, but they are built on the foundation of the micro wins you achieve every single day. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's the ability to keep going when the results are small, to trust the process, and to understand that big success is simply the result of countless micro wins stacked over time. Keep pushing, keep building, keep collecting those small victories, because one day you'll look back and realize those tiny steps led you exactly where you wanted to be. Success is not about what you hope to do, what you want to do, or what you plan to do. It's about what you decide is non-negotiable. The things you commit to, no matter what, define your results. The problem is most people treat their goals as optional. They say they want to exercise more, or be more productive, or start a new habit, but they allow excuses to get in the way. They wait until they feel like doing it, until they have more time, until the conditions are perfect. And because of that, they never build consistency. The key to lasting success is setting non-negotiables, things you will do no matter how you feel, no matter how busy you are, no matter what obstacles arise. Non-negotiables eliminate the decision-making process. You don't wake up and ask yourself, should I work out today? You already decided you work out. You don't ask, should I read? Should I make that call? Should I stick to my routine? You already committed. There's no debate, no excuse, no way out. Non-negotiables create discipline, and discipline creates success. Think about the most successful people in any field. They don't rely on motivation. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They have rules they live by, habits and commitments that are non-negotiable. Athletes don't skip training because they don't feel like it. Entrepreneurs don't stop working because they're tired. The writers don't wait for inspiration to hit before they write. They show up every day because that's what it takes. When you set non-negotiables, you take willpower out of the equation. Willpower is unreliable. It fades when you're tired, stressed, or distracted. But a non-negotiable is a rule, not a choice. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't debate whether to do it. You just do it because it's part of your identity. When you treat your commitments the same way, everything changes. Start small. Maybe your non-negotiable is exercising for 10 minutes a day, reading for 15 minutes, waking up at a certain time, or making one important decision daily. The specific action doesn't matter as much as the principle. Once it's set, it's law dog. You do it whether you feel like it or not. And once you follow through, you build momentum. Each time you honor your non-negotiable, you strengthen your discipline, and that discipline spills into every area of your life. The biggest mistake people make is negotiating with themselves. They tell themselves, just this once, I'll skip it. And that one time turns into another, then another, until they're back where they started. Success comes from refusing to break your own rules. Your non-negotiables should align with your values and long-term goals. If you want to be fit, your non-negotiable might be daily movement. If you want to build a business, it might be working on it every single day. If you want to be more present with your family, it might be setting aside time without distractions. Whatever it is, once you set it, honor it. You don't need to be perfect. Life happens. But if you make a commitment, keep it, because every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your own self-trust. And every time you keep it, you reinforce that you are someone who follows through. Non-negotiables simplify success. They remove the guesswork. They eliminate excuses. They build the habits that shape your future. When something is a non-negotiable, you don't find time, you make time. You don't wait for motivation, you take action. Decide what is non-negotiable in your life, set the standard, and then, no matter what happens, honor it. Because that is what separates those who wish from those who achieve. Every decision you make today is shaping the person you will become tomorrow. Your future self, the person you want to be, the version of you that has achieved your goals, built a successful life, and become stronger, wiser, and more disciplined, is watching. And every action you take is either bringing you closer to that version or pulling you further away. The problem is that most people live for the moment. They prioritize comfort over progress, instant gratification over long-term success. They procrastinate, make excuses, and tell themselves they'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week, next month, next year, and before they know it, they're stuck in the same place, wondering where the time went. But here's the truth. The future isn't some distant, far-off concept. It's being created right now. Every choice you make today, what you eat, how you spend your time, the effort you put in, compounds into the person you will be in 5, 10, or 20 years. The question is, will that future version of you thank you for the actions you take today, or will they look back with regret? Think about it this way. Imagine you could meet yourself 5 years from now. What would that person say about the way you're living today? Would they be proud, grateful that you showed up, did the hard work, made the sacrifices, or would they be disappointed, wishing you had been more disciplined, wishing you had taken things more seriously, wishing you had started sooner? The future is always watching, and it's not waiting. Time will pass whether you take action or not. 5 years will come and go. The question is, will you be in the same place with the same struggles and excuses, or will you be standing in a life you built through consistent action and commitment? The good news is, you don't have to change everything overnight. You just have to start making small, intentional choices that align with who you want to become. Want to be healthier? Start moving today. Want to build a successful business? Take one step toward it right now. Want to develop better habits? Make the choice today, not someday. Because someday never comes. It's easy to think short term, to focus on what feels good right now instead of what's best for you long term. But every time you hit snooze instead of getting up early, every time you skip the workout, every time you let fear stop you from taking action, you are making a decision about your future. You are choosing to stay the same instead of growing. The most successful people in the world don't live based on how they feel in the moment. They live based on who they want to become. They understand that their future success is determined by the work they put in today. They don't wait until they feel motivated. They act knowing that consistency is what builds success. Your future self is counting on you. They need you to make the right decisions today so they can live the life you dream of. They need you to push through discomfort, to stay disciplined, to take action even when it's hard. Because the choices you make today are either building them up or letting